Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and place to be, it's Debsy. Boop, that's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, and happy Friday. Oh my God, listen, baby Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, thank you for finally putting an end to this day. Thank you. It is now the weekend, and we got 2 days. We have 2 days off where there's no work, not even the whiff of work. Like maybe you're doing work around the house, maybe you're doing something like that, but you're not at your 9 to 5, or in my case, 8 to 4:30 work. You're not there. Thank God. Okay, so I hope everybody's having a great start to the weekend. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, this weekend, you may think that you are where you live. However, I'm going to transport you this weekend. We're going to be, I'm not really going to transport you. I mean, maybe a little bit through discussion and ranting and snarking and recapping, but we're going to be spending some time in Salt Lake City. I have to watch. I got 1 down, I got 2 to go of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City for season 5. So we're going to be in Salt Lake City with those ladies. And then I'm going to be recapping and ranting about the next episode of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which I know everybody else has watched, but I'm taking it one at a time. So we're going to be spending a lot of time in Salt Lake City. So speaking of, I watched the first season for the first season. I watched the first episode for the 5th season for the ladies of Salty Lake City, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so we're starting off. Lisa is having a Bezos party, and I was like, what exactly is a Bezos party? I'm thinking that Bezos means little kisses, but it turns out it's like her version of a Valentine's Day party for her friends, which I'm thinking is kind of like a Galentine's Day party. So, but she's calling it the Bezos party. I was like, Jeff Bezos? No. From what I understand, like I said, I think maybe it might mean little kisses. Don't know, but interesting. Okay, so they flash back to 2 weeks earlier. So Lisa is talking to Angie and Heather. She's talking about the party, and she's talking about who she's inviting. And she says, I am going to invite Whitney, even though she went on a podcast. She went on the Val Files. Listen, anytime anybody goes on the Val Files, shit's gonna come out. I mean, shit is gonna come out. And on the Val Files, she basically was saying, like, Lisa only cares about herself. She only cares about being right, and she's the villain. She's always the villain. Okay, let's talk about something. This is now the second Real Housewives show that's premiered that has some very unlikely friendships. Am I hallucinating, or did I sniff glue or something? Because Angie K and Mary are besties. How did that happen? I mean, so it started, I guess, when at the reunion last year, Angie K had told Mary that she has lipstick on her teeth. And then it just snowballed from there. Like, Mary took Angie to Kathy Hilton's Christmas party, and now they're besties. Let's see how long that lasts, but I don't know. I'm going to say this. Mary, I don't think Mary is a great person. However, I do enjoy Mary's little, like, jabs during, like, when she's talking to the producers. She is funny at that. And all of a sudden, Mary is okay with Heather. And you know the reason for that. It's, Ozempic. It's true. She didn't do it alone. She surely didn't. She came out and she was like, okay, so I lost 25 pounds. Thanks, Ozempic. I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to not get on too much of a rant, but maybe she has diabetes. Maybe she does. However, how about just save the Ozempic for the people who like maybe really need it for diabetes. There's other GLP injectables that you can use that are specifically made for losing weight. I'm just saying. So, you know, she lost some weight. Mary can't get over it. Mary's talking to her because I guess Mary would never talk to me then because I'm fat and I'll always be, because I'm fat and happy. Okay, so new housewife alert. There's a new housewife alert, and she's a friend of Lisa's. She is very eccentric, and she arrives in a giant red heart coat. Bronwyn, I'm gonna tell you, at first I was like, I don't know about her. Whenever they showed her like in a flashback meeting Lisa for lunch in like a boy short bikini, like boy shorts and bikini top, and then a matching like puffer coat. It was 37 degrees. So I don't know. I was like, okay. But then she was like, look at me. I'm dressed like I'm a Tim Burton character, and I love it. And then she named her dogs. She named her 6 dogs after the characters in House of Cards. I honestly, at that point, then I was like, okay, maybe she's okay. I mean, she's eclectic, because honestly, if I had 6 dogs, would I want to name them after one of the characters on my favorite show? Yeah, there would be Michael. Let me see. There would have to be a Creed. There would be Michael, Jim, Pam, Creed, Meredith, and probably Dwight. Either Dwight or Kelly. So yeah, I like that. I think that's cool. And there is an age gap between her and her husband. I think they said that her husband is 65 and she's 38. And it turns out her oldest stepson is like 6 months older than her. But hey, listen, if they love each other and they get along, who cares? So where's Whitney? What's going on with Whitney? Whitney's on the way to the party. She is with a friend, Miley. I think that you spell it, wait, let me see. Because for the longest time, I couldn't understand what her name was. Okay, Miley, Mieli. I thought I had heard earlier that one of the new housewives was maybe friends with Monica. I don't know. They really didn't say anything about this Miley. So maybe she's just going to be a friend of. That I don't know. So what's going on with Whitney? Whitney bought a new home. I feel like, no, maybe she didn't just buy a home last year. So she bought a new home. She's doing a lot of press for her businesses. Don't ask me what they are, because I have never seen her talking about anything except the jewelry line last year, Prism. So I don't know, business is plural. I don't know what she has. So, and there has been a lot of distance between her and Lisa. We'll hear about that. There's another woman that they introduced, Brittany, Britani, but I'm always going to spell it like Britney Spears. She is a friend of Heather's. So I don't know if she's going to be a friend of or full-time. She was dating Mormon royalty, because she's been off and on with Joel Osment, from the Osmond brothers, from the Osmond family. So now they're off, but she says he's real hot. I'm going to have to Google him. Brittany really did endear herself to Marion Bronwyn. She sits in between both of them, and she says, I like your costume, to Bronwyn. And that sets Mary off even more than it does Bronwyn. She's like, what are you talking? This is fashion. This is high fashion. We don't call it a costume. It's fashion. Bronwyn was like, there are only 3 of these coats in existence, honey. I have one, Rihanna has one, and another one is in a museum. It's not a costume. I was like, oh. And then doesn't Mary come out to a producer and be like, she has some nerve talking about a coat. Her coat looks like it's German Shepherd. Like she got some German Shepherds and dyed them that color. It looks, and the texture, what is this? I was like, oh, Mary. Oh my God. So they flash back 3 weeks earlier. 3 weeks earlier, and Meredith got a new home. But it's a rental again. We're gonna talk about that later. 3 weeks earlier, Meredith and Heather were talking. Meredith is having a problem with Whitney too. Well, first of all, Meredith is kind of struggling. She's still in her feelings that she didn't get an apology from everybody because everybody was like, listen, you're reality Von Tease. And, oh, I forgot. And I'm going to spill the tea. Ooh. I have some hot peppermint tea in here. It's probably too hot to drink. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, that's so good. Okay, I'm going to spill the tea, everybody. So she was like, I'm really in my feelings and I'm struggling right now because everybody was saying I was the one who was spilling this tea, that was saying everything about people. As it turns out, it wasn't. It was reality Von Tease. Nobody gave me any kind of apologies. Also, she has a problem with Whitney because we know that Meredith's thing is taking a bath. So much so that in the beginning of this episode, everybody else was just sitting in their house with their family and she was laying in a tub with Bubbles. So everybody knows that's her thing. So she's upset with Whitney because Whitney's latest business is like bath bombs. So she's like, I'm getting tired of her. Like, I have a jewelry line, and then she has a jewelry line, and then I take baths, and now she's doing a bath bomb thing. So she's like, I'm getting tired of this, and I can see where she's coming from on this. But I don't understand why Whitney would be putting out bath products because last season she was like, she went on another podcast and was like, oh yeah, it's weird that Meredith sits around and takes baths and shares the bathtub with Seth and this and that. I'm going to tell you straight out. I don't know how anybody could sit there and listen to any long amount of time, any podcast that's more than 5 minutes with Whitney talking. Her voice, I just can't with her voice. So I thought it was odd that she put that out. I wouldn't have thought about like, oh, Meredith, that's Meredith's thing. I really didn't think that she was that big in baths. That's all. Okay, so Lisa is talking about Jack's mission trip. Jack is on his mission trip. He's been in Colombia for 8 months. The way you would never think that it was a mission trip the way that Lisa talks about it, because Lisa's like, he found the coolest bookshops and barber shops. And he found 2 Michelin star restaurants. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like a mission trip. And Bronwyn too, she was like, what kind of mission trip? She didn't say this to him. She's like, what kind of mission trip is this? Because Bronwyn, she's a Mormon. And she went to BYU. She got kicked out. I think she's going to be fun. We'll see. So, I put Whitney brought a friend, but I didn't see her name. And then I did see her name. It's that Miley, Mieli. They really didn't talk to her. She didn't talk much at all. Okay, Meredith, speaking of this beef with Whitney, she goes over, she confronts Whitney about starting a bath bomb company. After Meredith, I guess Meredith said she was starting one. And Meredith is thinking that, hey, listen, you're doing this, that I'm taking that as you don't want to be my friend, which this is kind of a reach. I mean, Whitney's like, I think you're reading a little too much into it. I kind of think she is too. And Whitney says, Whitney says that, but wait a minute, you took some of my line to show in your stores. And Meredith was like, yeah, but not bath bombs. You just came out with bath bombs. She's like, I didn't just come out with them. They were on my website. You just didn't order any. Meredith then says that she doesn't trust Whitney because last season everybody was piling up on her, saying that she was the one that was putting all this information out there. And that one of the biggest ones that was putting it out there was saying that was Whitney. So then they flash back to 2 weeks earlier, when the three of them were talking, Heather, Lisa, and Angie. And Heather had told Angie and Lisa that Meredith hadn't gotten over the fact that no one apologized to her for this. And Angie was like, well, nobody apologized to me either. And people were saying that I was in like the Greek mob and nobody is apologizing to me. So where's my apology? I get that. Okay. So then here comes Angie. Angie K put on her crafting master hat and pulls out this huge scroll that she's like, well, I have some things that I am upset about that you never apologized for me. Let's take it out. And then I should have made a scroll, but I just literally finished watching it. But she pulled out this big scroll and it had all this stuff just handwritten in chicken scratch. And everybody was like, did she just pull out a scroll? So what are some of the things that she needs to apologize? She needs to apologize for saying that Angie was in organized crime. Also for spreading rumors about her family with the husband sleeping around with men. Also, she needs to apologize for telling Monica, hey, why don't you sue her and you can take her house? And Meredith was like, I didn't say any of that. I didn't say any of that and walked away. So, where am I at? I'm losing okay. So then before they go in to eat, Lisa's like, she gives a little speech. She's like, I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you to all my friends who have been checking in on me. I love that. Something I don't love is podcast. And looked at Whitney as like, oh, okay. We're getting salty right before dinner. So time for dinner. It's in this big, beautiful barn. Everything looks immaculate. Listen, before Mary can change the place settings, because she wants Angie to sit next to her. Who sits right next to her but Brittany? And remember, whenever they were outside and they were talking, Brittany was like, she said to Mary, she's like, it's okay if you were poor. Mary was like, we weren't poor. And she's like, Brittany says, well, we were. And I remember putting food in my purse. And Mary was like, what? No, don't, you should. Bronwyn's like, there's no shame in doing that. Mary's like, but there is. Don't do that. You shouldn't do that. So Mary's like, I don't want her sitting next to me because I don't want her putting bread in my purse. Because she says she didn't do that when she was a little girl. But she said she said she did that when she was a little girl. But she said she put it in her purse. Well, the little girl carries a purse. She was like, so she's thinking, that this woman is Brittany's just walking around putting like food in her purse now. So that's why she's like, I want her sitting next to me. Heather tells Angie that she thought her and Meredith had resolved her issue. This whole thing with, you know, the Greek mob and everything. Angie was like, no, in fact, we did not. We didn't at all. So they go back and forth. Bronwyn was really trying to help. Bronwyn was like, okay, we're going to draw a line and then we're not going to go backwards and talk about this. So then Angie continues to talk about the house. I think it was her house, somebody's house. Anyways, talk about. Angie said, well, I don't talk about my house. And Bronwyn was like, you are, because you're just talking about it now. So kudos, you know, thumbs up to Bronwyn for trying to help out. You'll see that doesn't really work with this group of ladies. Now, honestly, and when you're talking about Meredith's house, who cares if she's renting? I don't give a shit if she's renting or if she bought. However, why is she still renting? Can somebody tell me in the comments why she's still renting? I would think with the money that she has that they would have bought a house by now. That's what I'm just wondering. I don't know. So everybody's eating dinner. Everything's nice. And Lisa gives a toast. And then Whitney brings up the comment, hey, why did you say that what did you mean about the podcast? Why do you have such a problem with me? Lisa says that she has a problem with her because on podcast, she made the podcast about her, about Lisa, and not about herself. And Whitney says, well, you're just being self-absorbed like you usually are. And that's what you wanted to hear, but it wasn't, because that podcast was 2 hours long. Once again, who could listen to her talk for 2 hours? If you can, you're a superhero, because I couldn't. She said it was 2 hours long. I didn't talk about you the whole time. But Whitney did talk about her. And Lisa, I'll admit, Lisa Barlow can be self-absorbed quite a bit. However, there was that part, like I said, there was a part where she commented on Lisa Barlow. Whitney and Lisa had said Whitney told lies to like disparage her. Whitney is saying, listen, I didn't lie. I was just speaking from my experience with you, which that was how she felt. But I can see where Lisa would be like, well, people are going to watch this and listen to this, and my character is going to be called into question. I can see both sides of the story, because if I'm giving my opinion about someone, that's an opinion. That's me giving an opinion. It's not a fact. It's just me saying how I feel. So I understand where Whitney's coming from. She calls Lisa off camera. She calls Lisa a narcissist. So you can't say someone's lying when they're just giving their feelings. And then she tells a straight up total ass lie. I'm sorry, but listen to me. If we're talking Diet Coke, if we're talking Diet Pops, Diet Coke will always and evermore be better and superior to Diet Pepsi. Listen, crack open a cold Diet Coke. Oh, listen, I'm not going to say there's nothing like it, but honestly, in refreshment, yeah, there kind of almost is nothing like it. As a matter of fact, there's not a crisp Diet Coke. You can take your Pepsi, Whitney. You can take your Diet Pepsi. You can take your Diet Pepsi straight to the pits of hell. Do you get me? So Whitney's on a roll. Whitney's like, if I don't kiss your whole asshole, which right at dinner, if I don't kiss your whole asshole, then I'm not being a good friend, I guess. And then doesn't Lisa Barlow get out her fancy Drew stethoscope, her fancy Drew magnifying glass, and starts asking people, hey, who told you what I said then? Who told you what I said about you on the podcast? It was either you or it was you. The culprits are either Angie K or Heather. It's quiet. It is quiet as all shit. Flashback to Angie. So there's a flashback. Angie visits Whitney in her new house. She starts talking and the secrets come out because she said, oh yeah, I was hanging out with Heather and Lisa, and Lisa, oh, you know what Lisa said, and told her what Lisa said about Whitney on the podcast. So then go back to the party. Heather says, I didn't say anything about what we talked about. And Lisa says to Angie, did you tell her about our conversation? And then Angie says, which part? Listen, if you don't say no and you answer with which part, then that means that you did. You should have just said yes. This throws Lisa into a tizzy. Lisa feels very isolated because she's like, when I'm hanging out with my friends, I want to be myself. I want to know that what I say is in confidence. And now I feel very isolated because I can't be myself with any of my friends. And, you know, last year I stood behind Angie and I supported her and I had her back. She doesn't have my back this year. She's running right over to Whitney. So she doesn't have my back. And then Whitney and Lisa went back and forth. Now listen, whenever Lisa Barlow was like, okay, if you need me to be your villain, I'll be your villain. And I believe that more than, remember when Diana Jenkins, oh gosh, she was terrible. Diane Jenkins on Beverly Hills, whenever she was like, you want me to be your villain? Or what did she say? She said something like, do you want me to be your villain? And then she sucked the whole season. No, game one, Lisa Barlow. I would be interested in seeing Lisa Barlow as the villain. I'm just saying. Okay, Whitney was like, listen, I never lied. I have never lied. And as soon as she said that, Heather busts out as much as she can, cracking up. And Whitney was like, when have I ever lied? Well, off camera, Heather was like, listen, this is what Whitney does. Whitney takes her lie, she shapes it to fit her narrative, and I'm getting tired of it. Heather was like, you lied about me in your book. Meredith says, you said I lied about my father's memorial. That hurt my feelings a lot. And someone else said, you accused Mary of running a cult and being a predator. And everybody was just piling on Whitney. These new ladies in this group were mouths agape and just like, holy shit, what did I get into? This is what you got into. Welcome to the circus. Welcome to the show. Toughen your skin up. And Lisa says, listen, now that you had your healing journey, I feel like you treat the rest of us like you're better than us. My journey is not going to look the same as yours. So what the hell? Whitney then, what did she say? She said something like, I'm going to take you to the hill. I don't know I think that's what she said. And then she gave her the finger. I'm going to take you to the hill. That's dumb. So she gave her the finger, and immediately Lisa was like, you can leave my party. You can get out of my party. And Heather's like, no, don't go, don't kick her out. No, listen, I'm with you. If you're at a party, if you came to a party, it's true, I invited you, but if you came to a party and you know that I didn't want you here, but you came, you were invited, okay. And then you come here, I have this beautiful dinner with, listen, they say it risotto, but as an Italian, my mother, if I didn't say it like this, my mother would say, what? It's risotto. It's not risotto, it's risotto. Right, listen, I'm not all of a sudden like Gianna De Laurentiis, where she'll be talking and then all of a sudden she'll be like, and I like to put a nice sauce on my spaghetti. I don't do anything like that. But you know, if I say, there's two words. If I don't say it the right way, she'll be like, what the hell? It's risotto. Anybody else would say it risotto. And now you're going to say it, most people would say it gnocchis, gnocchis, but they're gnocchis. Gnocchi, I think. You know what I mean. It's gnocchis and a risotto. So there we go. Okay, and I can't roll my R's. So they had this lovely dinner of the risotto and the filet, the bone-in filet, which now I can't look at like a filet the same after hearing Mary describe how it's just gonna sit in your colon and you're not gonna be able to pass it in a week. So there's that. I don't eat filet too often anyways. I'm not a big fan. But she has this lovely dinner that she probably paid a lot of money for. And then here you are giving the finger. Shit, yeah, I would have kicked her out too. I would have kicked her straight the hell out. So Whitney gives her the finger. She said, Lisa's throwing her trauma in her face. Lisa's like, listen, you can't use your trauma as an excuse just to treat us like shit. Lisa throws her out. And then those two musicians who were sitting by the door are like, oh, fuck, holy shit. Lisa's throwing down a glass. Oh, so it's going to be a lot. It looks like it's going to be a good season. And from what I understand, listen, they say at the end, someone says, it sounded like it was Heather who said, you talked to our sworn enemy. Two of them, I believe, talked to Monica Garcia. Who's recording who? I mean, it sounds like somebody says you were recording me. You're all being recorded. Listen, there's cameras from Bravo. Everybody's being recorded, you son of a bitches. So listen, that was the first episode from season 5. This weekend, I'm going to watch the other 2. You will get episodes this weekend. And I will be caught up. I promise you, 99.9% promise you that you are going to be getting recaps for the other 2. So I got a lot to watch. I got a lot to do this weekend. So listen, in the comments, let me know if you watched and what you thought. And if nobody told you yet today, you're loved, seen, and heard. Please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there in the world. Please, always take care of one another. Number 1, please be aware of your surroundings. Be safe. Hydrate often with the water. I'm doing it with some tea, which is water. And number 4, if you're in a dangerous situation, whether it be weather related or not, please know that Dolly and I are keeping you in our prayers and our thoughts, and we're sending love and positive vibes out to you guys. I love you guys. I will definitely see you tomorrow for another trip to Utah and possibly a taste test of some yummy cookies from a small-owned Black business that I found on TikTok that is awesome. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.